Hey everybody, welcome back to my modern homestead. My name is Janet and I am so thankful that you are here. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Today I am I'm trying to get busy working on some tomatoes. You see my pot there in the back? Y'all, how do you can tomatoes in January? Tomatoes don't grow in January, not here in the United States, in most places anyway. I'll tell you how I'm canning tomatoes in January. When it's so hot outside, y'all, I hate the heat. When it's hot outside and tomatoes are going crazy and the rest of the garden's going crazy and it's just too hot to even breathe and you don't feel like messing with a whole lot of garden stuff, I throw my tomatoes into the freezer. When I do that, before I do that, I should say, I go through and I core them and I cut off any bad spots and then I just pop them into a freezer bag and I measure them out, weigh them out, not measure them. And I usually do 4 pounds to a bag if I can. So I just pop those in the freezer until I'm ready to process them here in the winter time. And that's where I'm at today. I needed to clean some stuff out of the freezer and those were in the way. So it's time. I thought I would do this on a cool day, but we've decided to have summer in January right here in Georgia. Hey, that's all right, right? Bring back my winter. So, even though we're having a summer day here in January, I'm still going to work on these tomatoes because they need to get done. I can't keep putting them off. And I'm going to go ahead and get carrots if I can find everything I need to go ahead and start some of those in the raised bed with the garlic. It's perfect weather to get them started and going. That way, should winter decide to show up again, we're okay. I can keep them covered. But right now, it's perfect weather to go ahead and get them started. So over here in the sink, let me show you. So here in the sink, I have our tomatoes. I'm just going to let them thaw a bit. And y'all, I love doing tomatoes this way because it's so easy. To peel them, all you do is thaw them. And the peels will come right off and they're ready for the pot. So while these are doing their thing, I'm going to go ahead, I'm sorry I'm bouncing the camera while I'm talking. I'm going to go ahead and eat lunch so I'm good to go. And then we'll be right back. So let's get busy. Y'all, I've been on the phone with one YouTuber and I've been messaging another one. Oh, a sweet young lady and her husband and sweet little family who are getting ready to start their own YouTube channel. I'm so excited for them. I can't wait to introduce you to them. So, y'all, what good is doing YouTube if you can't help others? What is the use of this great, wonderful video if you don't have the time for others? That's the part I love about YouTube. It's the family, the connection, and helping. So anyway, let me help myself and eat. All right, here we go. We're just going to make I would say a simple sandwich for lunch, but it's not a simple sandwich by any means. What do y'all like to do on busy days for lunch? Do you cook a big meal and go with it? Or do you like to eat something quick and easy so you can get to what you're doing? I'm a quick and easy kind of person. So I'm just going to slice up some tomatoes and do a few little slices of onion. Then I have pickles and mustard and Havarti cheese and some spinach, baby organic spinach. And then on the sandwich, we're doing 97% fat-free ham and some hard salami. So let's get this put together. Okay, on the bread, we've already got some mayo, so I'm just going to dot a little bit of mustard. And I just squish them together. Let's take, actually, before I get my hands all messy with the ham, let's put on a little bit of spinach. Or a lot. Depends on how you look at it. Some tomato. Got my napkin over here handy. Oh, I need to slice up some onion first before I can use it. And I do these in really fine slices. I like just a little bit of the flavor without having a big old piece of onion in my mouth. Ugh. It took me a long time just to get to this point. So hey, we're making progress. All right. And I love pickles, so I'm not shy about putting them on my sandwich. A little bit of ham. I do 2 slices of the ham. Oops, you know what I forgot to do? Let me put this over here. Y'all, this is the magic. Greek dressing. Not a lot. Shake it up really well and just, whoops. Just like that. So I've got the 2 pieces of ham, and then I like to use hard salami, so 1 slice of that. And then I use 1 slice, I guess you say Havarti, however you pronounce it. You can use this cheese or any other cheese you like. And if you like the cold cut combo sandwich at Subway, yes ma'am, yes sir, this is good stuff. So let's take it and cut it in half. And this is Sara Lee Delightful 45, I think is what that is. So, but whatever bread you choose. Yum. Perfect lunch. Okay, so here we are back out here at the raised bed. Remember a few months back we put in the garlic? It looks like most of what we planted has come up. Some of it hasn't. That's fine too. But I think there's enough room between rows to get in 2 rows of carrots. So that's what we're going to try to do today. Normally I would make a carrot seed tape. I would just take 2-ply toilet paper and 2-ply toilet paper and put out a few seeds on it and little dollops of flour and water mixed together. But I figured it's such a pretty day today. We'll just come out here and put it directly into the soil. So I'm just trying to move these wood chips out of the way. And I'm just going to drop seeds in here. I don't normally like doing this because to me, Millie, no, crazy dog. The seed tape to me is easier to get nice, even spacing. But y'all, I just got too much to do today. So I'm having to use this brand today. We're going to use Fairy Morse. And this is just the multicolored carrots in this row. And if you'll look carefully at the seeds when you pour them out, and I know y'all can't see it, but when you pour them out in your hand, the seeds actually look different. So just space them as evenly as you can. You don't want them on top of each other. You want them to have room to grow. And if you do have a lot come up in one area, my friend Rebecca at Littlefoot Ranch, she will take the carrots and use those. Try not to get them on this wood chips. She will use the baby carrots in salads and such. And I thought that's a great idea. So I'm not going to stress too much. I hope this wind isn't too windy for y'all to hear. I'm not going to stress too much if they get too close together. We'll just eat them as we thin them. Really, please stop. The soil under here is nice and moist where we've had a lot of rain here lately. So I think the seeds will do nicely right now. And it's warm. going to be warm this whole next week, so that gives me time. Look, I've got another little garlic coming up there. That will give me time to come back in and get a little cover built in case we have freezing weather again. I won't lose my carrots. And it'll give me a jump start on the garlic. Keep it growing through the cold. Win-win, right? At least that's the plan. All right, I'm not going to make you sit through me planting all of these, but I will show you what I've got. I have these Pusa Black. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, but these are really good. I've canned those before. And these are Amarillo carrots, so they're yellow. I think these are yellow too. Yep, those are the Amarillos. And these are just a kaleidoscope blend, just like the ones I just planted, except these have the white carrot in it. It's not a true white, it's kind of a greenish color. But I do have a kucha, I guess that's how you say it, carrot in the house that is white. They're just not as pretty as these, orange. So anyway, let me get these rows planted. Look how crooked that row is. It's all right. We're not going to stress about straight rows, are we? Okay, I'm going to do these, finish this row, and then I'm going to do 2 in there. And I may come back along the edge here because there's a good 4 or 5 inches there. I think we got enough room to squeeze it. Ow, Millie, that's my foot. To squeeze in a little row of carrots. Do you mind? Spoiled rotten. Let's see what we can do with some of these tomatoes. Some of them are still too frozen and we won't be able to do anything with them. But the ones that are still thawed, I can show you what we're going to do. So I don't have to bore you to pieces. You watching the whole thing. Y'all, finally got those carrots done. Silly dog, all she wanted to do was put her pine cone in there and for me to throw it. And you see here, when you freeze your tomatoes, as they thaw, this skin comes right off, y'all. It's so easy. And I can see here, I did score the bottom of these, meaning I just sliced a thin X through the skin. So what I'm going to do is just peel the skins off. It doesn't have to be perfect, at least not for me. I'm not too fussy if I get a skin or two here or there. So peel that off, and the more thawed they are, the easier this comes off. It'll come off in one piece. Anyway, just like that, the tomato is peeled. And I will just cut this up just a little bit, and I'm going to put it over into this pan. And I don't always do my tomatoes the same way every time. I just had the time today, and it's just a relaxing activity to me. So this is the way I'm doing it now. A lot of times, I will just put my tomatoes into the jar raw, pack them down real tight till the juice rises above the tomatoes to about a 1/2 inch headspace, and call it good. But I normally only do that with my homegrown tomatoes, which these are homegrown from my garden, but they're not heirloom, not all of them. And I didn't keep them separated. So I'm not real sure of the acidity. Now, have I done it with tomato plants I bought from the store that weren't heirloom? Yes. I have canned those without adding lemon juice, which is where I was going with that. Sorry, I got lost in what I was saying. Because these are not heirloom, I will add lemon juice to the jars, but we'll get to that. But many years, I have not added lemon juice at all. Most of my friends don't, but just for the sake of this video, I'm not going to tell you to do it that way. The correct way is to add lemon juice. You can add salt if you want it. It would be 1 teaspoon per quart, 1/2 teaspoon per pint. But again, we're not to that point. We're just peeling tomatoes. So let's get all of these done. And when I have them all done, see how easy that comes off? I'll bring you right back and we'll do the rest. These little parts that weren't quite right, if they come off easy, I'll just leave them be. I won't put them in because technically the ball book says to cut the green parts out. I think that's what it says, something about the green. Anywho, And you can do these as big or as fine as you want. You can do crushed potatoes, listen to me. Crushed tomatoes or diced tomatoes. I'm going for diced. We may end up with crushed. Hey, it's all good. We're just going to use them for soup and chili, so it doesn't really matter. I just don't want whole tomatoes. Okay, friends, we are on the very last tomato. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this does take a few minutes, but I love having these tomatoes on the shelf. I think that's the only reason I go through the headache of growing my own tomatoes. Y'all, a homegrown tomato, it just does not compare with what you buy at a store. They are so much better. So here are all of our peels from those 16 pounds of tomatoes. Those can be used to dehydrate and make a tomato powder that you can use in, oops, I dropped my bag. Use for seasoning. You can use straight tomato powder, or you can mix it in with others to make a homemade seasoning salt. And here I'm just taking the juice because I do not even want to waste the juice out of these tomatoes. That's great for soups as well as the tomatoes. You can use the juice for a lot of things. So let's add these in. And that's a little over half of this 16 quart pot. Of course, this won't make 16 quarts. They'll cook down. But I'm excited to see how many we get. What we're going to do, because some of these are still kind of slushy frozen, we're going to put this on the stove and let these come up to a boil and heat for maybe 5 minutes. Not boil hard, just a slight boil, just to get them warm to put them in the jars. I was just looking at these bags before I do something with them. $6.23, that's when I bagged those. And how great is it that they lasted until January of this year? I would have done them earlier, but there was a lot going on with the sickness of my father-in-law and my mother and both of their deaths, so we just didn't get to them last year, and that's perfectly okay. That's the beauty of freezing them. So y'all, that is an option for you. If you want to can tomatoes, but you just can't get to it in the summer when it's super busy, save them for later. Okay, we've got these on the stove to heat up, and guessing we're probably going to get 7 to 8 quarts of tomatoes. But one thing that's important to remember when you're doing tomatoes like this, to stir them very often. You do not want them to scorch on the bottom. Like this, I have it turned up kind of high just to start it to get warm, but in just a minute I will turn it down because I don't want them to scorch. And another note, the ball book says to cut off the green of the tomato. Y'all, it's from my understanding, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, that the green tomatoes are more acidic than the red tomatoes. So other than looks, if they're more acidic, I don't know why you would cut off the green. I actually like the flavor of green tomatoes, so if the green didn't just pull right off when I was peeling, I just left it. Because I mean, I actually can green tomatoes, so I don't know. You do what's right for you, and we're just gonna go with it. One more quick thing while we wait. I do have, you can see it here, my jars in the canner. I have 7 quarts heating up because I don't want to put warm tomatoes in cold jars. And then I'm also going to wash my lids so that those are ready to go. I don't keep them in hot water, but I do give them a quick wash before we use them. Okay, I am just about to pull the tomatoes off of the stove, but I want to show you what I like to do before I can anything while I'm waiting. I go ahead and get everything I think I can possibly need. I have my rings, I have my lids washed, I have my jar lifter, my funnel, measuring spoons. I know I need salt to go in there, and I know I need lemon juice to go in it, and I have a wet napkin to wipe the rim of my jar. So as far as I can tell, I've got everything I need
So what I will do before I pull the tomatoes off of the stove is go ahead and put my jars here and have them ready to go, and then we can just spoon the tomatoes right in. Now, what I will do is scoop the tomatoes out with a slotted spoon until I get right at a 1/2 inch headspace, a little below, and then I will use the funnel that I've got already in the pan, not the funnel, excuse me, the ladle that's already in the pan, and I will fill in with juice as needed. Oh, and that reminds me, I do need to get something so that I can debubble the jars. Okay, there's the first jar out, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it to the way I need it, and I have a little spoon so that I can debubble the jars when I'm done. So let me get the rest of the jars out, and we'll get the tomatoes in. Okay, so I've got my tomatoes here, and y'all, for the first time since I've been canning, I dropped a jar in the canner and broke 3 jars. I had to start all over. I had to get clean jars, new water, everything, because I don't want to chance having glass in one of my jars. Anyway, we're ready. So we're going to use the slotted spoon, not the ladle yet. We're just going to dip out tomatoes, and we're just going to do this one jar for those who have not done this before, just to do the one together, and then we'll just speed up the rest of the video so you can see the rest. We'll just fill it up, get out a lot of the juice. We want mostly the tomatoes. Just like that. You still see there's some juice because those slots fill up, but that's okay. You just don't want it all juice. Just keep going. Some people like to put a pan up under the jars just to catch juice, but I just have a towel. It'll wash, the counter will clean, but whatever you prefer, it will be just fine. Old timers, this would be their last step. They would have these tomatoes boiling hot. They would put them in really hot jars, put a lid on it, and call it done. I'm not quite that big of a rebel yet. But that's the way my mama did it. That's the way her mama did it. We're still, well, we didn't die from the canning. Do you know what I didn't do? Silly me. I didn't add the lemon juice. Let me go ahead and add that. And it doesn't matter. You can put it in the bottom, or you can wait and add it last. Just whichever you prefer. And it said 2 tablespoons. Whoops. I'm gonna add all that. Okay. Then 1 teaspoon of salt, and that's totally optional. If you don't want the salt in there, it's perfectly fine to leave it out. That's it. Just keep filling to 1/2 inch. Now, what we'll do is debubble. Just run your spoon around. It's a little more than 1/2 inch, but that's all right. Ooh, just stuck my napkin down in the tomato juice. Right, lid on, and your lid to finger, your ring to finger tight. When that jar starts turning just like that, you're done. So let's get the rest of the jars done. Okay, we are on our last jar. And what's left in the pot is mostly just the juice from the tomatoes. There are a few little pieces of tomato in it, but I do not throw this out. This is great for soups. So if you do this, don't throw out your tomato juice. Here we go. And there's just maybe 3 or 4 tablespoons left in that pan. It's not enough to actually keep. You can drink it, add it in some rice you're cooking for supper, some soup you're cooking for supper. Unfortunately, we're not having anything I can put it in tonight, or I would keep it. But like I said, it's just a few tablespoons, not a big deal. So I am going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of juice to this, just to be on the safe side. I think it's fine, honestly, the way it is, but you know how it goes. So let's add in 1 teaspoon of salt. And because that's just a liquid, don't really need to debubble it. There we go. All right. Let's put these on the stove. This is our last jar, and we had exactly 1 whole canner full. So excited. That worked out perfectly. Isn't that pretty? Here we go. Into the canner. Look at that gorgeousness, y'all. So I'm going to get my gloves, I call them my Vader gloves, and drop this down into the water. And we're going to can this once it comes to a rolling boil for 40 minutes. Okay, we have really hot water here. So I'm just pouring a little bit of vinegar down into the water. And as you can see, the water is not covering my jar, so I need to add water. You want at least 1 to 2 inches above the jars. There we go, perfection. Ah, that's not the right lid. Let's try this again. There we go. So we're just going to leave this here. As I said, let it come up to a boil and start the timer when it's at a rolling boil for 40 minutes. Okay, y'all, my loves. We have all these tomato peels, and I didn't really want to do this part, but I'm at the end of cleaning up. My water's not even boiling yet. So, oh my, I've got 2 tomatoes in here. I forgot. Ah. Oh well. What we're going to do is just put the peels out on these dehydrator sheets. I've never done this before, so welcome to my world. We're doing it together. We'll just lay them out and try not to overlap the best we can. And we'll just dehydrate them, grind them up, add some salt, maybe some basil or parsley or onion salt, garlic. Hey, we'll just make our own seasoning salt. Sounds good, right? And we'll try it on something together. Sounds fun. So, that's all I'm going to do is just fill up these trays that I have, turn them on. I don't even know what to turn them on. I'll look that up, but I think the lowest setting. So, there we go, just like that. I'm not going to be too particular with it. We're just experimenting here. Alright, now that all of that is in the dehydrator, well, not all of it, but all that I could fit, I have 1 bag of white and 1 bag of brown. This is the bowl in the bag, but I'm not boiling it in the bag, obviously. I'm just going to put some water in here, and if I need more water, I can add more water to it, but this is starting supper for tonight. It's almost a whole 16.9 ounce bottle. Okay, these are some chicken breasts that I cooked in the crock pot. This is my favorite way to cook them. I wrap them up in foil and cook them in the crock pot. If I can find the video, I'll put it up in the corner for you. So you check that link up here somewhere in one of these corners. So all I'm going to do is shred this up, and when the rice is done, I'll put this into the rice along with some spinach and a can of cream of chicken soup or cream of mushroom soup. You can use whichever you prefer. So we'll have a 1-pot meal. Okay, we have the chicken breast shred up. The rice is boiling, so I'm going to wash my hands and clean up the counter. And I think the jars are ready to start timing. Let's check them. Here we go. We are at a rolling boil. I thought I heard it. So let's set the timer for 40 minutes. Okay, the rice has been cooking for a few minutes, so I went ahead and added the spinach. And we just add water as needed. I don't want this really soupy, so we'll just give that a good mix. Keep an eye on it. If we need more water, we'll add more water. This is such a delicious supper. It started with a memory from nursery school, but hey, it works. Okay, got the spinach all mixed in. It's been cooking for a little bit longer, so now I'm going to stir in a can of cream of mushroom soup. And even my daughter, who does not like mushrooms, requested the cream of mushroom soup in this. Okay, now we're just going to add in most of this chicken. Alrighty, we'll stir that in. Then all that's left is to add cheese if you want it. You certainly don't have to put it in there. I don't know if we will at this point. And I must say we did season this with some magic seasoning, salt, and regular sea salt. And just do those to your liking. Still got 21 minutes left on the tomatoes. We'll be done. Okay, the timer is going off. So let's turn this eye off. Oh, this floor, it's wet. So I'm going to let this cool off. I am going to remove the lid, and when the water is completely still, then we'll take out the jars. Okay, the water is completely still, and all the water in the floor is cleaned up. I've had a bite to eat, so let's get these moved over to the cooling table. Alrighty friends, there we go. There are all of our tomatoes, and back there in the back you can kind of see through the jars. That was the quote-unquote tomato juice, basically tomato water. But y'all, it's perfect for soups. Even these, I've done tomatoes several different ways. I still think raw packing is my favorite way, but hey, this still beats having to do tomatoes in the summer. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed your time here today. Thank you so much for joining me. You know I love it when you come and spend a few minutes with me. So until we meet again, may you be blessed. Love you guys.